Welcome to the Yarn Barn.
G'day guys, it's Liam from the Australian Dads Network. Stoked to be here with you again. Welcome to the Yarn Barn. It's been a really fun experience so far to be able to record these and share these stories and with a focus on just making our days just a little bit better. You know, we have all got a story. We have all got a message to share, and I'm grateful to be able to provide that for the guys inside of our community. And for anyone else who listens, thank you. Really appreciate it. It really means a lot. This network that we've created has been 6 years in the making. This time that you're listening to this now is myself going full-time, all in on the Australian Dads Network and a small business that I've set up, which is in the men's mental health space as well. Because, you know, I realized over the last 6 years that this is me. This is a path that I have been, you know, tiptoeing in, getting involved really deep in, and then realizing that I've got a full-time job and all the stuff around that to support. And, oh yeah, my family. I've got to be there for them, and I want to be there for them. That's my number one value. So, you know, doing this voluntarily for so long, it was, you know, late nights, early mornings, you know, putting things off to be able to do this, and not just this as in the podcast, but this is in supporting men, supporting dads, supporting the Australian Dads Network and building it to where it is now. And fortunately enough, had some really great opportunities thanks to the WA Primary Health Alliance in 2022. Got us out to a few different places around Western Australia, regional communities, speaking to a lot of cool people in the mining sector and community services organisations and community members, you know, residents across regional WA. And from that experience, it really showed me that there was something beyond volunteering, something beyond you know, just, and I say volunteering as in, I'm not talking about the dollars, I'm talking about the ability to do this in the 9 to 5, quote unquote, not after hours, after the full-time gig. You know, I'm talking about doing this, when I say volunteering, you know, that's what I'm talking about, outside of normal hours, especially in regional areas where I'm based, is everyone wears many different hats, right? And so volunteering after your normal job and all those things is commonplace. But for you guys who have done this, who have taken the dive into something that is your passion, that is your purpose, for me, I feel like this is. And this is now where I can wear this hat and not be confined to the constraints of an organization that I don't necessarily align with their values. And so I'm really excited to be able to do this, and I'm really excited for you guys to be able to listen, and hopefully, I mean, if you've gotten this far into this podcast episode, then I'm stoked that you're here, and that maybe, just maybe, this will give you some value or give you some idea as to the importance as to what we are trying to achieve this year, but also what we have achieved over the last 6 years as well. The Dads Network has made a significant leap towards making a massive impact on the suicide rate, reducing that number from 7 out of 9 men down to, you know, a lower number. And so the importance of this is a personal one, and that revolves around the word connection. And you'll hear this a lot over the course of this podcast series, but also just in the conversation that we have around the Australian Dads Network. The reason why it is actually a thing is because of connection and my need for connection as a new dad. And so I know that this is important to a lot of the members inside of our community, but for you listening, if you're not in the Australian Dads Network, I know this is important for you too. because it's a simple need. It's one of the most, if not the most important need for us all as human beings. We need human connection. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. And whether you are, if you're putting yourself in 3 boxes, right? You have the opportunity to put yourself in 3 boxes right now: introvert, ambivert, or extrovert. And some of you might be going, hang on a second, there's a third one? There is. There's a thing called the ambivert, which is kind of a combination between the two, right? It's, you don't mind going and being out on stage, or out, singing karaoke, or being out at a big venue with 15,000 people watching a band, and that you can be all engrossed in that environment and really enjoy it. But you need your downtime too. You need your solitude, which is not isolation. Solitude is, chosen to be alone for the purpose of refueling and re-energizing and reconnecting with yourself. So there's a combination. If you sort of blur between and flow between extrovert and introvert, then you may be an ambivert. And I know Mike Duff here is listening to this going, you can choose. And that's true. You can choose. You can choose to be either. That's why I like to call myself an ambivert. And it's important, because for me, I do like, right now, I've spent the afternoon just sitting at home by myself in the quiet, and it's nice. But there's oftentimes, when I go out and, I go and present something about the Australian Dads Network in front of 100 people, I thrive in that environment too. And I enjoy going to music festivals. Have always enjoyed going to music festivals. Even up to like the Falls Festival in Victoria, the Surf Coast of Victoria, 15,000 people there. Loved that. I get goosebumps every time I sort of talk about that with people. So yeah, we can cross over, and that's cool to do that. But the purpose of this is that it's a human need for us to be connected to other people. There's physical, there's emotional, there's mental improvements that come from connection, improving our health, and just the overall well-being. It's extremely important. So how does this relate to the Australian Dads Network? Well, it's pretty bloody simple. What we've created inside there is an ability for guys to be able to connect immediately in a platform that is familiar, Facebook. Majority of people have it and understand how to use it. So it's less complicated. It's an easy process. And, when you talk about like challenges with accessing services and all those kinds of things, you think of like telehealth, where, guys in particular, by the time a guy has gone and said, I need to go and speak to a counsellor, or I need to go and, speak to a GP or whatever over telehealth, if that's the only access that you have, if the access to that telehealth service is extremely challenging and complicated, and need that link there and that two-part verification there, and spinning wheel, thinking, stuff it, I won't do it. That's a missed opportunity to improve, to get healthy, to improve your mental health. So Facebook is easy, familiar. Everyone's got it. Majority of people have got it, right? So the Australian Dads Network is in there. Once you're in the community, the Dads Only Yarn Barn, the connection begins. And because you are a dad, or you are a man that is understanding of the needs, of the challenges, of the experiences that these guys are going through. And as a result of that, you feel like you're in this place full of like-minded men who are going through similar challenges to you, and you start seeing the conversations, and each conversation you read, each post, each comment, each video you watch, all of these things are starting to go, oh, okay, I'm not alone. This is good. This is normal. That's cool. I didn't know that. And then all of a sudden you start to connect, and that connection starts to grow, and then you start to feel more comfortable, and you start to experience an opportunity for you to be able to say, this is me, and this is the challenge I've got. Or this is me, and this is what's worked for me. Sharing what you know and learning as well. So that's connection in the Australian Dads Network. And that's why it's so important, because when I started it, I didn't have that. And my wife and I, we fumbled through those first 6 months, which you've heard about before. So I won't go into that again. But if you want to listen, go to one of the first episodes. I think it was the second episode of this season when I talk about that. And so the importance of this connection is extremely, for me, it's extremely important because there's, it doesn't have to be something really deep. It doesn't have to be something that is extremely hard or challenging to explore. The time spent just in the presence of other people who are, alike, who have similar values, who are high in integrity and don't have any judgment. That's the kind of thing that we need to be surrounded by. Going out for a coffee and just hanging out with somebody, having a coffee. As long as it's easy and it's not a challenge to try, and you don't feel like you have to try and have a conversation. If a conversation flows, amazing. If it doesn't and it's comfortable, that's cool too. Sometimes just being with somebody is enough. A lot of times we go out and we want to try, especially introverts, we try and make the conversation. It gets really challenging. And we go off on a tangent and then we start going, oh shit, I'm saying all this stuff and I don't think he's listening and I'm losing. And now I'm really anxious because I'm saying stuff and he's not listening anymore. I'll bring it back and this is confusing. I'll just start another conversation and go this way. Sometimes it's better just to be quiet and just sit in that. That's my experience anyway. But why is it important? Because it helps, there's this, there's a whole bunch of chemicals that can boost your mood, reduce stress, and improve just your self-esteem, how you feel. It's a massive mental health boost just from being able to feel connected to somebody. Simple as that. And during COVID, we had that sense of being isolated for a little while, and that contributed to some mental health decline and challenges, of obviously stress, and I think for me and other people I've spoken to during that time, there was this feeling of not being able to switch off, even though we're at home, not being able to switch off from all of the devices because it was there and it was available. We were working from home if you could. You had your phone, you had your work phone, you had a computer. It was just constantly on. And we're constantly on, and that's what leads to the, 50% of Aussies at the moment are burnt out because we're constantly on 24/7. There's someone wanting my attention and it's either a physical person or it's a person on the phone or on the computer, on emails or whatever. And so COVID really impacted that as well and raised that level of stress. And then I feel like we got through a process where we understood what was going on, and then all the info started to come out about how important it is to look after yourself and how important it was to self-care. And then through that process, we see that there was a level of connection that increased. I did anyway. So this is just me talking anecdotally based off of the people that I was around. That we started to see an increased level of connection based off of the ability to be able to access services and support when we needed it. So all of a sudden this device that we have, the workplace gave us these opportunities to go, hey, it's all good. We're all stressed here. We're all going through this crazy time ourselves. Not ourselves, we're going through this together. Just take a 5. It's cool. Enjoy where you're at. If you're in a comfortable place, enjoy that for the moment and reach out. That was one of the catchphrases, I think, for a long time during COVID was just reach out when you're struggling. Connect. So, wanted to run through, there's a website called psychcentral.com, and I want to run through their top tips for connecting with others because I think it's really important to get other people's perspectives. I could probably give you a whole bunch here, but, you'll hear them throughout my conversations with others. So I feel like it's really important to explore other concepts, other people's thoughts, and Psych Central does some really good stuff here. So I'm going to put this to you guys to consider. So this is their top tips for connecting with others, and it does come with a caveat. Social connection can look different for everybody. So again, it goes back to you. If you prefer more time alone or without crowds, then sweet. There's opportunity for you to not do those things because that's maybe not going to help you in the time that you need it. So try these. And if you do, let us know. Consider volunteering. If you haven't volunteered before, then give it a crack, because if you've got some spare time, that sense of reward, building friendships and connecting with others is really what comes from volunteering, whether it's for a not-for-profit at a local community centre, or, working with youth, or if it's at the local, animal shelter, or I don't know, wherever it could be. Put that volunteering hat on and go out and do something for a few hours a week. It doesn't have to be much. Every organisation that's requesting volunteers is not doing it just to build numbers. They're doing it because they need your help. And from running and working in the not-for-profit space and running this organisation, we're full of volunteers. So if you are interested in jumping on board the Australian Dads Network as a volunteer, then reach out as well, because we would love to speak to you. Find a local group. Maybe it's a book club, a hiking group, a surfing club. Maybe it's a four-wheel drive club. Whatever it is for you. Clubs are on a regular schedule. So getting out there and getting into the clubs means that you're going to have a regular schedule of meetings, gatherings, whatever it might be. It could be a camping event. Could be, going out and exploring a rainforest or whatever it might be. But usually these clubs are on a regular basis meeting. And that's cool, because now you can lock it in. So even if you are an introvert, it's not an everyday occasion. So you could say, all right, every 2 weeks we're meeting. That's cool. I can recharge external to that, and then go and do this meeting, and then be at the club, and then go and enjoy myself at that particular place. And that's a really cool thing to get to know others. A third thing, try to find an engaging activity in your area, and consider signing up. So whatever it might be, common interests. So it could be like a Dungeons and Dragons gathering, or it could be some sort of activity around sports like squash or whatever it might be. Try and find something that's in your area that is of interest to you, and that could spark some friendships that you haven't met before. Some people you haven't met before. That's pretty cool. When you're engaging in conversations, and we're going to do a podcast episode just based off of this as well, because this is extremely important, not just in what we're talking about here in connecting with others, but this is important for a whole range of personal and professional skills. Engaging in conversations. So actively listening is probably the most important part of connecting with others, of showing empathy, of being considered in conversations, or for being a contributing member of the organization or the community, or even more so at home. Actively listening to your kids, actively listening to your partner. Those things are extremely important, because a lot of times as blokes, we move into fix mode. As soon as someone says, hey, can I ask you something? We're like, ooh, it's an opportunity to fix this, opportunity to come up with a plan. It's not necessarily always what you need to do. So actively listening with proper body language, making sure that you're there, present, in the moment, listening to that person have a conversation. It's extremely important. And instead of coming up with ways to fix or solve or, counter the problem or whatever it might be, ask questions. Because if you ask questions, or you reframe what that person has said, so someone says, oh, I just hate being at work. Reframing it could be, oh, so you're having a real tough time at work. That sounds tough. Tell me some more. What is it about your day that you're struggling with? Asking those questions makes that person feel valued and listened and heard, and that's important, because you feel good when someone does that for you. So make sure you give that to other people. 2 more. When you enroll in a class or some sort of scheduled event, avoid cancelling it. It's very easy to get to that point on the day and go, oh no, I'm really nervous, I'm stressed, I don't want to do it, this is hard. One, if it's you can't avoid it, then fine. But if you do it repeatedly, that's going to disengage. You're going to disengage from those people. They're going to disengage from you, and you're going to miss that opportunity to connect. So the more you can just get up and go, the better it's going to be for you to be able to connect and build those relationships. And the last thing, try to get more physical. So regardless of the type of relationship, a hug can go a long way, according to Psych Central. And I agree. A hug can go a really long way. So when we touch, when we have connection physically, holding a hand or just a hand on the shoulder, all those things are really important. Even a handshake when you come to meet people, it's a really powerful and manly thing to go and shake somebody's hand, but it's actually an instant connection. And there's a lot of different research and ways to give a handshake, and I'm not going to go into that here. Maybe that's another episode. But a proper handshake is the way to really get some good connection, and it's important because it makes us feel good. So make sure that, firstly, another caveat, make sure that the other person is willing. Don't go just touching people. That's weird. So just make sure that that physical connection is there by a willing participant, and it's genuine. So no matter whether you are an introvert, an extrovert, an ambivert, engaging in human connection is extremely important for your mood, your stress, your mental, your emotional health. And if you can include some of these tips for connecting with others that actually have some element of getting out in nature and getting involved in some sort of physical activity, then all of a sudden it's your mental, emotional, and physical state. Perfect. And that's what we really want. And so when we go back now to the Australian Dads Network, this is what we talk about. We just finished off a Better Everyday campaign, which is all about getting better every day at whatever it is that you want to achieve. Guys trying to lose weight, guys trying to run 5Ks, run marathons, walk around the block. All these things are really important. And so inside of our community, we do all of those different things. We talk about emotional health. We talk about mental health. We talk about physical health. Guys talk about spiritual health. We talk about finances. We talk about business. We talk about everything. And the purpose of this and why it's so important is because having positive, strong relationships saves lives. Simple as that. Beyond Blue's done the research. So connecting with others, it's a human thing. So let's bloody do it. See you inside the Australian Dads Network. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the Yarn Barn. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.